When it comes to annotation or annotative objects, the main idea is that in your model space, you've got a drawing with one set of finishes. That can be your text, your hatch, your dimensions. And then as soon as you create your viewport, you would like to have a presentation, depends on the scale of that viewport. Say in this case 1:25 as well as 1:50, and you want the text to be exactly the same size or the same height. So if we recap on the basics, if I go back to the model space, we're going to add text. So on the left hand side, if I go to my annotate and I go to my text set, now this is for your text set, your leader set, your hatch set. You will see that there will always be an option that says annotative. Now if it's switched off, it means at the moment Caddie will create a text of 2.5 at the scale of 1:50. So it's only going to be one set of 1:50, 2.5 high. But if I'm going to change it to annotative, it means that although Caddie is going to look at your model space scale at the moment, Caddie will give you a presentation of 1:50 in your model space. But as soon as you create your viewport, you can add 1:10, 1:20, 1:100 to that particular text because the text is set to be annotative. So I'm going to say OK, and we're going to add text. So I'm going to go to my editor, and I'm going to add text called Caddie. As you can see in my editor, annotative is switched on. I'm going to say OK, and I'm going to place my text. Now at the moment, if I select the text, you'll see that in your object properties, Caddie will tell you annotative is on, as well as the current scale is 1:50, because I haven't created a viewport yet from different scales. So let's create a viewport. So you can either go to view, make use of the normal command, or you can select the objects, right click, we go down to add to sheet, create viewport. I'm going to go to sheet 1, I'm going to say OK, and my first presentation is going to be 1:50. I'm going to say OK. Now before I say OK, have a look and see on the right hand side, Caddie asks us, add scale to annotative objects is ticked, so it will add a presentation of that text or the hatch, depends on what's annotative, to a scale of 1:50. I'm going to say OK, and I can place my viewport. I can go back, create a new port, or I can just ask Caddie to refresh the memory, and 1:25, and as you can see on the right hand side, my annotation scale update to 1:25 as well. I'm going to say OK, and I can place my viewport. Then the third one is going to be 1:10, change to 1:10, as you can see it updates. I'm going to say OK, and I can place my viewport. Now as you can see, the text as well as the hatch will display exactly the same because they are all set to be annotative, yes. So the origin of the text, as you can see, they share the same origin, so you can reposition the text in the viewport itself by just double left click. Now the reposition the text is only going to be applicable for that particular viewport. So the 1:50, I'm happy with the position. 1:25, I'm happy. So let's go to the 1:10, double left click. As you can see, as soon as the border becomes thicker, it means you're in edit mode through the viewport, and I can place a new position for my text. So there's my text now and my hatch. I've added my model space, one set of each, although I can use it in 3 different viewports with different scales, and they all present the same size. Now that's the idea of annotative. Now if I look in these 2 viewports, you will see that on the left hand side, I would like to remove the text here on the right hand side, as well as this portion of the text that I can see at the bottom. Now it may be that you can say, yeah, but you can select the border and you can reduce the viewport size, but I would like to keep mine the same viewport size. So I'm going to show you that you can hide the annotation scale from an object. So at the moment, as you can see, they present exactly the same height, although that's 2 different scales. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into edit mode. You're going to double click in the viewport. You're going to select the text, and I'm going to include the leader as well. And I'm going to right click, and I'm going to ask Caddie, under my annotation scale, remove the current annotation scale. So as soon as I'm going to click on remove annotation scale, R for regen, you'll see that although on the right hand side it remains 1:50, but on the left hand side I've removed the annotation scale from that object. So I can do the same here at the bottom left. I can select the component, right click, we go to annotation scale, and I'm going to ask Caddie remove current annotation scale, R for regen, and as you can see it did remove it. If for some reason you would like to recall the annotation finishes in that viewport, all you have to do is you can double left click, and then now edit mode. At the bottom right hand side in your status bar, there's an option that says show all annotation finishes. So because it will not remember the 1:25 because you removed the 1:25, it will make use of, say, the 1:50. So all we have to do is we can select the text and the leader. You're going to right click and you're going to ask Caddie to add it now. So on the annotation scales, there's an option that says add the current annotative scale. Click on a command, if I press escape, now the presentation that you see of the text and the leader has got an annotation scale of 1 and 25. At the same as here at the bottom, or I would like to get rid of this text, right click, annotation scale, remove current annotation scale, R for regen, and here we go. And now you can make even life more easier for yourself if you are familiar with levels. And that is, if I go to a new drawing, as you can see, I've got 3 viewports here, 1 and 100, 1 and 100, and 1 and 500. My site plan is 1 and 500. So if I go back to my model space, in this drawing, we've worked with levels. So we go to story 0, displays story 0. If I go to site plan, displays my set of layers for site plan. If I go to my setup, or the configuration, you will see that you can add your levels, and then the new announcement in Caddie 29 is that you can add an anno scale to that particular level. So as you can see, site plan at the moment has got an annotation scale of 1 and 500. So if I'm going to say OK, now because my site plan is my active level, I can just add the text, and the text will be automatically be added to the scale of 1 and 500. So I'm just say new building. I'm going to say OK, and I can place my text. So if I now go back to my sheets, and I'm going to ask it to display all layers, you will see that under my viewport of 1 and 500, it did add the text, but the text is excluded from the 2 viewports 1 and 100, because the annotation for that particular text is only 1 and 500.